How's it going, everyone? I hope you're all doing well. And today we're going to be answering the age-old, well, not really age-old, fairly new question. Am I going to be switching to the Google Pixel? Alright, so first of all, in this video, we're going to be talking about what I personally want from a phone and to discover whether or not the Google Pixel really suits that. Now, I've often said that I personally think that the Google Pixel probably is my ideal Android phone, but is it good enough? So, what do I need from a good phone? Well, the first thing I want is good software support. By the way, this does extend to OS and security support, but we're also going to be focusing on apps like YouTube or Google Docs. And honestly, in this regard, with every Google Pixel that I've ever tested, this has been pretty good, especially with the newest Google Pixels, the 6 and the 6 Pro. Those have both been excellent, and even with the 4a, which is in all regards the budget option. Android really does feel like it's absolutely made for the Google Pixel, which would make sense seeing as Google does own it. Honestly, I only see this improving. Google do seem to be making the push to become the flagship Android brand now, so I'm hoping that this is gonna get even better. So yeah, definitely in this regard, the software does stack up. But what about actual app performance? Well, honestly, it's still not as good as iPhone. Now, I say that because on Android, it is usually harder to optimize things, purely because there are so many different phones and hardware variations that you do need to consider. So often apps will be a little bit less polished. Now, what this does mean is there are usually a lot more free apps on the Android side of things. On iPhone in the past, I've actually had to pay like £2 to get an app that I already had on the Android side of things. Not exactly ideal, but still, I don't mind that much. But I really don't keep that many apps on my phone. And the apps that I do keep on there, like YouTube, Google Docs, and even apps like Twitter and Telegram, all do work pretty well. Again, social media apps, not quite as well as they work on the iPhone side of things, but still, good enough for me. Okay, so the next thing I look for in a personal phone is good interaction with the hardware. Now, one big thing for me is Touch ID. So historically, I've never really got on that well with Android biometrics. Like with the Samsung S8, which I think was probably the first interaction I had with like Android biometrics, wasn't exactly that good. And for a while, that kind of tainted my view on Android biometrics. But as soon as I started testing the Google Pixels, I found they worked much better. It was probably the best Touch ID experience I've ever had on Android. In fact, on the 4a, I liked the placement better than I do on iPhone. Here, you press your finger on the fingerprint sensor, you click to unlock, and you're done. But on the Pixel 4a, you simply press your finger on the back and it unlocks. Another thing I look for is a stable camera experience. Now, while Androids have had good cameras for a while, they haven't always been the most consistent. For example, a couple of years ago, I checked out the Nokia 9 PureView, and while that thing definitely had a interesting camera system, I mean, it shot RAW, it had combined focal lengths to make really high resolution photos, the camera system was not very stable. In fact, it would often crash, the photos took ages to load, and while occasionally the Pixel does have some shortcomings, like I did occasionally have a couple of issues with the viewing app, for the most part, I actually prefer the camera system on the Pixel side of things. Crazy, I know. I just really liked the colors of the Google Pixel, and while I still do like taking photos on iPhones, and I generally think for a lot of people that app is a little bit less cluttered, so it works more like a point and shoot, you have a lot of really cool options with the Google Pixel. One thing I really liked is the fact that you could actually take RAW photos as stock, whereas on most iPhones, you have to get a third-party app, which I don't really mind that much, but still, it would be nice to have it as stock. Okay, so wrapping this section up, is interacting with Google Pixel hardware good enough for me? I'm gonna say yes again. Realistically, I'm not too picky. I just like the experience to be good, and I don't want the phone to be too big. So yeah, while that does definitely rule out the Pixel 6 Pro, don't get me wrong, I did enjoy that phone, but daily driving it for someone like me, not exactly ideal. So I definitely want something smaller. So the final really big consideration for me is how compatible is it? Honestly, I don't fancy buying a whole new set of headphones, chargers, cases. Well, cases is fine, but I really don't want to change that much stuff. Also, how compatible is it with... I'm not gonna lift that. That's a monitor. I don't mean that, I mean my computer. So on iPhone, I could simply airdrop myself a lot of the files that I got on my phone but needed to be on my computer. For example, photos for reviews. Fun fact, if it's an iPhone review, I airdrop all of those to myself. I use the all photos data to not lose any quality. Also, if I want to post something to Instagram, very rarely, or I've just made something on my computer that I need on my phone. Again, this works both ways. I can simply airdrop these files to my phone. Now, obviously, that's not the case on Android, but there is a workaround. So I am a big fan of a messaging service called Telegram. I find it works perfectly for me. All of my friends use it on both iOS and Android, and that allows me to send uncompressed files from my phone to my computer flawlessly. I know a lot of people who are completely locked in, and I never really wanted to get to that point. So if I use a feature on iPhone, I always try to make sure that I have a backup for Android. And in this case, it's Telegram. But something else is headphones. Now, initially, this may not seem like a big deal. I don't use AirPods, but if you weren't aware, I use Beats Studio 3 headphones as my daily driver. Now, opinions on Beats aside, I really like the Studio 3s, and I don't really fancy changing them. They're an excellent pair of Bluetooth headphones for what I want, and one thing I like about them is the connection. If you weren't aware, newer Beats headphones actually have the same chips in them as AirPods, so connection is absolutely flawless on iOS devices. See, one of the great things about Bluetooth connectivity on Apple devices is that it's transferable. So while I don't think I've ever used the Beats headphones with this iPad that I have in front of me here, I'm gonna go into the settings now, and I bet they're there. Bluetooth, yep. Right there. So while this isn't a huge deal for one Bluetooth device, I can just add it again. I actually tend to use a fair amount of Bluetooth devices. So it does mean that whenever I connect something to my Apple devices, I am going to have to reconnect it to my phone if I switch to Google Pixel. Another thing is chargers. So Google Pixels use USB-C, which is mwah. Therefore, in this regard, the Pixel's better than the iPhone. Apple, please just put a USB-C port on the iPhone. Just please do it. There's a USB-C port on this iPad Pro. There's a USB-C port on this MacBook. Just USB-C is good. Please, Apple. USB-C on your phones, especially for me. As I said, I own a lot of USB-C devices. I have a lot of USB-C chargers. All right, so am I switching to the Google Pixel as my daily driver? Well, I have been currently testing another Google Pixel phone for my next review, but honestly, I might keep it around for a bit. Now, due to the nature of this YouTube channel, I usually am using more than one phone. Now, am I going to be permanently switching? No, I think I'll want to keep two phones around. I'll keep an iPhone and a Google Pixel, so two daily drivers. And I'm going to try to alternate between them, maybe week by week. That way I can stay fresh with both operating systems, and it's going to be an experience that I'm happy to use on both. Alright guys, so that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Let me know, by the way, what would you prefer to daily drive? Would you rather the Pixel or the iPhone or something different entirely? Feel free to let me know in the comments. I always enjoy reading those. Once again, a huge thank you to my generous patrons for helping to support this channel. As for now though, as always, thank you for watching. Remember to like the video if you want to see more content like this, then smash that subscribe button. I'm done for now, and I will see you guys in the next one.